take over and start planting.
But you know, I think one of the things for us not to lose sight of is it's a business transaction, and the best thing that's on our side is time. Because they're the ones that are setting the tone as far as they have to do something. We can show interest, but just hold our cards, because time's in our favor, I think.
Yeah, they need to do something, and that was made pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's just a question of, like I said, we just haven't had time to get together with the different schedules we've had. So.
And how desperately they have to do something will drive the fact of how willing they are to, negotiate. So I think that would be our prudent thing to do is, and we might end up with something closer to what Clem was talking about. If we get too anxious, well, they know they've got somebody. Well, of course, we couldn't do it anyway.
Well, we haven't been pounding at their door every day, so
No.
it doesn't look like we're anxious.
No, that's
We
good.
tried to set up a meeting, that didn't work, and then we called and tried to set up another meeting, and again, the schedules didn't work. So it's probably going to be a situation where most likely not even by your next meeting I'll have time to sit down with them, so it'll be more like probably in September before we have a report back to you.
I think they're getting desperate.
So anyway, we'll just bring it back when we're ready for it.
Georg, is it worthwhile for this board to send a letter from the board expressing interest, emphasizing the 501c3 status, and just a letter of reminder that we'd be willing to
Take it off their hands?
we'd be willing to consider the option, and is that a benefit to them? Because as you know, in large government agencies like that, all it takes is one person talking to somebody else that says, hey, I got this letter for a donation, it's the end of the fiscal or it's the end of the quarter, what do you think about taking care of this now and getting it off the books? I'm just wondering if it would be prudent of this board to send a letter to them outlining our status as a nonprofit and our intentions to adhere to the agricultural aspect of it and maybe habitat portion, like you said, along the river.
It's up to you.
Do we really want to do an ag portion at all? I mean,
Well,
I think they're required in the
title encumbrance.
there's no way that that can be mitigated?
I don't know offhand. I just remember when we were going through the original ERR during the review process, and keep in mind, the county has already entered into an agreement with Caltrans to oversee the mitigation requirements for that land. Okay, they basically paid us for that, or will pay us for that. So they've already taken the first step to make sure that somebody oversees the ongoing mitigation requirements that were established in the EIR. But I'll have to, basically go back and find out what leeway, if any, we would have in that.
It's be interesting to see. I mean, farmland is everywhere, open space, and for species that need it, you'd think it'd be a valuable option.
Just remember, the state's priority right now is preservation of farmland, and anytime you do conversions, for example, on new developments, we're basically looking at replacement land values of 1.5 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this might, this is just off the top of my head, this might even qualify for one of those mitigations for another project, where the other project would pay for the mitigation, putting it back in ag land. In other words, if you came in right now for a 160-acre development, and we require you to restore 1.5 to 1, potentially look at doing something like a 240-acre restoration.
And that's a marketable item to a developer.
Right.
So
So there's some other avenues that I'd like to take a look at, but the first thing really is to find out what the trend are that Caltrans is actually, locked into. And I don't have a problem with writing a letter. Right now it's just been, phone tag and emails, but I can certainly do that.
Yes, Lindsay.
Are there any restrictions because of the proximity to the highway for hunting?
Well, there's
I don't know, maybe Leon knows.
the federal laws about how far away you have to be.
I could answer that. Actually, it wouldn't be a case of where people would hunt next to the highway. It would probably the two zones that they would hunt would be along the river or along the Tamaras or the cedars to the east. So they would not even be close, and they would not infringe upon, like if a farmer had citrus, for instance, which they don't want you to hunt there with lead shot or to impale the citrus. You wouldn't even be in a situation where that would happen. So I think that would not be a problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I think we ought to let staff continue with trying to develop a dialogue there and just search out and see what might really be on the table there with Caltrans.
Okay. We'll report back to you as soon as we have some contact.
Item number 2 is a discussion, update direction of the Center of Biological Diversity Dune Study for off-road vehicles.
As you recall, at the last meeting, you directed us to take a look at doing a response to that study. I think it was called Fuel to Burn report. And there was some discussion amongst your commissions, and Kathy's not here today, but potentially including the American Sand Association, I believe it was. We held a meeting. We basically, the county staff, and we did include Kathy, and the Air Pollution Control District met and discussed whether or not a response should be made, and if the response should be made by the county alone or the county in concert with another agency. And it was pretty much staff's opinion that there should be a response, and the response should be twofold. One, from the Air District as a special district, which it is. The Air Quality District is a special entity. And then by the county, but not mixed in with a private entity or another outside entity. And the direction was basically to take it to the Board of Supervisors and get their input, which Brad Porras, the new Air Pollution Control Officer, did. And the board did agree that we should prepare a draft response for both Air Quality District as a response and the county as a response. So that's essentially the direction we're headed on. And it was pretty much our feeling that it would be better if it just came from the county and from the Air District as opposed to the county mixed in with, I want to use the term special interest, but that's what it is. So that's what we're going to be doing, is draft a response, and we'll share that with you probably at the next meeting.
Are there any questions on that? It's pretty clear, straight and forward. It sounds like a good idea to me, certainly, Eric. And if that's, should we just have staff continue forward then? Okay.
Well, what we'll do is we'll do a draft. We'll bring that to you so you can have your input as well. And then we'll ultimately, of course, have to take it to the board for their approval.
Right. I don't know if all of you have read that, but I read the first 20 pages and then I got indigestion.
Who is the Clean Air Initiative? They look like they're a co-sponsor of this Fuel to Burn.
You know, I'm not up to speed on all of these different entities, to be honest with you.
I could kind of answer that.
Can you answer that question? Could you state your name and address for the record?
Sky Ainsworth, resident of El Centro. The Clean Air Initiative is a grassroots organization with representatives from about every community here in Imperial County, as well as representatives from Mexicali, that looks to try to, raise the awareness of air quality, and also institute or try to get people to try to instigate certain programs, such as tree planting in Heber and Mexicali, and they even got a couple companies in Mexicali to do some emission capping. And for tree planting, by the way, they recommend trees that don't cause allergens.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. Item number 3 is the discussion and update or direction regarding Sunbeam Lake Park grand opening and dedication ceremony.
Well, this is just kind of an ongoing report. It's pretty much what we explained to you last time. Staff has made some significant progress on a number of the items relative to the dedication ceremonies that we've talked about. One of the biggest ones was trying to figure out the logistics of this, and I think they've talked to Mr. Brister on some of the items relative to the entertainment, particularly. I know they've talked to the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office as far as the logistics of parking and traffic congestion, things like that. And we have an area for parking that we think would solve most of the problem, but now it's a matter of trying to get like a shuttle system or shuttle bus to bring people back and forth.